everyone, it's Jai452, back again inside the land of cosplay, rummaging around and seeing what we can find on Inside Cosplay. Joining me this week is my very special guest, the one and only, Joey Logan. Hi Joey.
Hey.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. I was playing some video games.
Awesome. We love our video games. I mean, I'm totally tempted to sit and play a video game right now, but we got work to do.
I can't. I have all these games to play. I can't get away from Overwatch.
I know. I'm the same. What game was it I was playing a lot of recently? It's actually a cell phone game I've been playing a lot of recently. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Legends.
Oh
which,
wow!
guys, if you're following me on Instagram, you'll notice I've been posting. Anywho, so we're just gonna jump right in there, and I'm gonna ask you, when did you first start cosplaying, Joey?
Cosplay. I've been dressing up all my life, but cosplay kind of hit me when I got down to Florida. I'm from originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I came down to change life. I ended up wanting to sing for Disney, and I kind of went to conventions doing nerdcore hip hop and everything else, and fell into cosplay.
Awesome. Do you remember what your first cosplay was?
My first cosplay stuck. It's still the one I do mainly because my last name is Logan. I do Jimmy Hudson, Wolverine's son. So it went from bone claws made out of wood to bone claws made out of resin that look like bone.
Who or what inspired you to get into cosplay?
I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. I think it was just I saw the conventions popping up because I'm in Florida now, and we had a couple in Philadelphia, one in Baltimore, not much, but I always wanted to go to E3. So when I came down to Florida, I saw everywhere I looked there was conventions, and I was getting more publication with my company. I started a company the first time I cosplayed. I did it's weird to say. I did the nerdcore hip hop, and while I'm there, they bring some of your friends to do cosplay. Like, I only know people online, never met any. So I invited them. I got 14 cosplayers from around the world to come to a first-year convention in Florida, and they all showed up. The big publicity. They gave me 2 tables. They gave me all this stuff, all this free stuff to do for me and my music, but they wanted the cosplayers. By the end of the week, I had a company started for cosplay.
Awesome. Is there any particular person that you follow on social media that is a cosplayer, or should I say a fellow cosplayer, that inspires you as well?
I am not a fan of her, and she knows, but we get along, we're friends. Nigre. I follow Jessica Nigre because she works so hard at the stuff she does. Mm-hmm. I'm just not a fan of the stuff she does. She's an amazing person, don't get me wrong. She does great. She does exactly what she needs to do. But I'm more the downgrade cosplayer.
Okay. And hello to Jessica Nigri if you're watching this. Please do get in contact with me if you are watching with this, because I'd love to interview you as well.
Another person is another one, Tony Darlin, was one of the cosplayers I met at the first convention. When they put me on stage with her, I was introducing her and Ryan Fry and a whole bunch of cosplayers. I had no idea who they were at the time. Then I realized who they were, and they said, introduce them. And I'm like, I don't even know their names. So as I was looking out of the corner of my eye, I'm introducing them off their name tags, and finally I realized Tony Darlin, The Simpsons. I'm like, oh my god. I fell in love at its first sight, But we got along. She was pretty cool, and she's really down to earth, so.
Obviously, a lot of the people that you've mentioned, they are still cosplay to this particular day. They're very avid about it. Is there anybody that you've followed initially that isn't cosplaying as much, so more?
I'm not sure. Like, I followed Danquish for a long time. He's actually my favorite cosplayer, and mainly because he reminds me of myself when we do stuff. But he does cosplay, but you don't hear about him like the rest of them. He's there, and when you see his stuff, you're like, oh my god, it's Danquish. It's awesome. But if I say Danquish to you, do you know who he is?
No.
See? But
then that's the thing. Like, I think there's a lot of cosplayers in the world that are specific to the part of the world that they're in.
Yeah.
Well,
he travels all over, but he's like the founding for Nigre. He's where she came from. Mm-hmm. He's amazing. Like, he does. His name came from remember the game Vanquish for PS3?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Vanquish was like an armored suit, looked like Genji. His name's Dan. That's where Vanquish comes from. He loves the game.
See, the thing with that is there is a cosplayer that I know, and I know her relatively well, but if I mentioned her to you, you wouldn't know her, and that's the wonderful Kobe Kicks.
Okay. Yeah.
She's not overly famous, but she's really quite well known. Like, everybody I've spoken to knows her, or knows somebody that she's worked with, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so she's quite well known over the UK, and she really does want to go over to the US and do a lot more cosplay over there as well, but always gets in the way.
Over here, honestly, cosplay's flooded in certain areas. Like, Florida's flooded, so you have people coming through all the time, but because it's flooded, it becomes so generic.
Yeah.
Like, you'll have people do 90, like in the background, 90 Harley Quinns for one convention, and they all look identical, and you'll have 60 divas, 9,000 tracers everywhere. Tracers everywhere in Florida.
Do you know the funny thing is, I don't deal with divas. It's like, no thank you, no divas today.
I had one diva that had a whole mech next to her, and she jumped in the mech. They built it awesome. I was like, this is diva right here, not that.
I'm thinking of a different interpretation of diva, but okay. What to date has been the most challenging cosplay for you, both from the making of the outfit and the acting side? Because whether or not we really realise it, there is a little bit of acting involved in cosplay.
It's always acting, otherwise you're just cosplaying.
Whether that's how a character might sound, how they might move, how they might even just interact with the general public. So let's talk about from the costume perspective. Like, to date, who or what has been the most challenging cosplay for you?
I can't say Joker was challenging, because Joker, I walked into the mall, and I was like, I need to make a Joker outfit. I'm doing Gotham City Imposters, the video game. I said, I'm going to own Joker. Well, I never expected to be Joker, and when I finally got the gear together, I was like, this is me. Like, acting, I just became that person, and it was awesome. But the hardest part, because I like to smile, I like to have a lot of fun, I'm upbeat. Even when I'm screaming at a video game and being harassing Trashy the gamer, the trash man, the one that screams, I am smiling. So when I went to do, I picked Jimmy Hudson for a reason. Jimmy Hudson is like Scott Summers mixed with Wolverine. He is the Boy Scout with the feral wrath. When I was told for the first time, I was at Nickelodeon. My first convention was across the street from Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon hit me up that weekend and wanted photos of this cosplay. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. It said pose. I had no idea. So I'm down doing the whole claws. It was awesome. And they're like, now growl, get mean. That's the hardest part of any costume. I try to get mean. The feral thing didn't work for me. So I'm always smiling. I got that look off in a distance.
So that would be something that you would find quite difficult from the acting standpoint. Has there been any aspect of a costume that was quite difficult for you
to make? Mm-hmm. When I first started working, my first costume was Jimmy Hudson. That was not hard. It took 6 weeks to get the first claw done, because I wanted to look like bone. So I sat there and carved them, and they got too thin, he'd snap. So I spent 4 weeks on the first one, and then finally the 6th week in, I was like, oh, I got this down. So that became easier. The hardest part was making stuff for my Dick Grayson. I had the spy Dick Grayson, and when I started doing him, I had the persona. When I put my hair black, it was perfect. It was the outfit. I gained a little weight from when I started, so trying to hem up, and I'm good at sewing, but when I tried to hem it up, I didn't know how to build muscle within my body. I wasn't showing my normal muscle. So building cosplay compared to wearing cosplay is 100 times different. And that took me almost 7 months just to get the body down, because I had no idea how to wear it to make it to wear it. I could grab a costume and put it on and be like, oh, I'm going to make this how I want to wear it. But making it to make it look like, no.
I think that's something that I really hope gets uberly squashed. I mean, we've made great strides in the cosplay community as a whole, is saying that cosplay is for everyone. You don't have to be completely uberly in shape or a size 0 to do a particular cosplay. But it's all very well us saying that on camera and it being recorded and all the rest, but off camera, almost every cosplayer I've spoken to has said, oh, well, even though I said that, I still want to lose like X amount of weight to do X cosplay, and I'm like, that's such a hypocritical thing to say.
But compared to what I was built before doing that cosplay, I'm like, the cosplay showed me, I'm like, this isn't my size anymore. I gained like 20 pounds and I quit smoking, which is a very good thing.
Yes.
I quit smoking, I gained 20 pounds while doing cosplay. So all my cosplays I started, they all changed. Like my Jimmy Hudson jeans, I was a lot thinner, a lot more muscle. Now I'm more muscle and a lot bigger.
So far for me, there's been 2 cosplays that I've done in the past. And I've had like professional photographs done for them. And I've looked at them and I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm so fat in that. I need to lose weight. And it's a great motivator, that kind of thing, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, there was another cosplay that I did recently. And the sheer fact that it was such loose fitting clothes, there was no fat being shown. So I'm like, I'm looking at those pictures and going, I need to do that cosplay more often. Because it's such a great, like, mind booster.
There's a cat.
Oh, hello, Mr. Cat.
It's Clover.
Hello, Clover. Okay, so moving on from that, in your opinion, what is the most difficult cosplay character or thing to cosplay as, both in the sense of what we were just discussing about from the making of the costume and from the acting side, in regards to yourself and other people? So let's start with yourself and let's talk about the acting side. So what is a cosplay character or creature that you might look at and go, I'm not quite sure how to act that, so I might need to do a bit of research? So maybe just name drop a couple of characters or things you might go, at.
I want to do Hook from Once Upon a Time. And I have the persona down, I can do it, but it's like his eyes and the way he looks at things. I think looking through things is hard for me, because I naturally look through things. I naturally see people and see straight through them, but to give that as an acting persona, I don't think I can do it. Now, Rumple, on the other hand, I can do him like no problem, because it's the Joker pretty much. Take the Joker and wash him down or give him some other makeup and you got Rumpelstiltskin. As for acting, I think the hardest parts would be major serious acting, like crying and stuff. Drama's not a problem for me, but like when it comes to something like Star Wars, people love Star Wars, but if you ever watch, the reason the acting looks like it sucks is because they're having just as much problem as you would as a cosplayer. They're trying to narrow down a character that's supposed to be a superhero one moment, a villain the next moment they're a crybaby girl in the corner, next moment they're in love. Like, the characters are switched so much, so like Star Wars.
Emotional roller coaster, really.
Yeah, it is.
So
like,
what's
I want to be a Sith Jedi. Like, I want to go back and forth, but it's going to be to play the character. I don't know what to do.
Okay. So what would be something from creation of the costume now? A lot of people, when I ask this question, instantly go for armored builds. A lot of people find armor builds very, very intimidating. And
a lot of people like foam.
I understand that. What in particular for you would be something that would be quite intimidating from the building of a costume?
I think it is the like you said, armor, because I don't touch foam. I'll only do foam if I need plates, but I'd rather go out and buy plastic and melt it. I'd rather go out and my belt buckle for Dick Grayson. I did that in a metal shop. I actually made the Grayson plate, and I carved it out of metal and sawed it down and painted it and drilled the hole, did it all. But wearing it was different than the foam. Like, wearing actual metal is so bad when you're out. Like, it's hot from the sun. When you're standing there and you're inside, you're trying to move, it's like stiff. It grams into my gut the whole time, because it's like that big, and it's like a big like H looking thing.
I actually have a few belt buckles that are like that, and they're like really big and they dig right into you.
They dig right, and you can't sit down.
You have to, like, when you sit down, you're almost like lying back to prevent this like big massive mark being jammed into your skin. I remember like the first time I was wearing a bit like that, and it was the actual Batman like bat logo. So I had like 4 points in my stomach at that point after I took that belt off that day, and I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Because like I was literally sucking in my gut all day long. You know, so there's no possible way I should have been like poked by the top of the Batman. And I'm like, that's so weird. So I can totally sympathise with that aspect of wearing metal. Also, do you find that when you're wearing metal nowadays, you'll get stalked by security quite a bit, or is it not really a thing?
I have been fairly lucky that my stuff doesn't really get affected because of the position I hold. Mm-hmm. Being a company owner and being backdoors to everything and being invited stuff. I think LA was the only, like Stanley's Kamikaze. I was invited out there, and then I also got press passes for the rest. As we were going through, they got stopped, and they like shushed me through, and I was like, no, here's my weapons, because I felt bad for the people that I was with. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they hardly ever stopped me.
Is that because, well, obviously they like to check the weapons and such like, so no metal should be used in them. Mm-hmm. But if it's being used as part of a costume, have you ever been, like, has somebody ever said to you, right, I need to check that, make sure that it's not going to fall off?
Really, just like my Joker gun is pretty much because it's a little pea shooter, so that's probably the only thing that's going to stop. And not for the metal stuff, but I have seen people stop before like crazy for wearing metal and everything else.
All right. So let's move this question along and flip it on its head and say in regards to other people now. So let's say I come to you and you know me pretty well, right? Let's put this for instance in. And I say to you, I'm thinking about doing a man bat costume with workable wings. Mm-hmm. Yes? How would you best advise me to possibly make that type of costume, like with the workable wings that just extend out and back in?
Well, probably we would stay away from metal for the metal detectors. Probably use only titanium or aluminum screws, only because they would fit in. But mainly, you probably want to work it with PVC pipe, because not only does it work well for everything, it's light, and the coping, when it would slide or move, it could bend. So if you had to bend it a little bit by accident, it would bend. It would slide easy through the holes in the cylinders. Also, when you're carrying it, you wouldn't want much paint. People paint the crap out of things, but stuff like wings or armor, if you paint too much, it's going to melt.
It down.
It drapes down too, but it also will melt. Like I had a friend, shout out to Rio Lavitz. Mm-hmm. She's an awesome cosplayer. She came down and she made a whole Kerrigan costume from StarCraft, and everything was PVC pipe. Even her dreads had PVC. By the end of the weekend, she made it for prior to that, 1 week prior, but end of the weekend going home, they drove home, it melted in the car. Like it was all stuck together, but but she wanted PVC because it's so much easier to build, so much easier to mold, everything else. The cutting is just like plastic, so it's easy. You can melt it back together.
Just on that front, guys, when stuff like that happens, it is terrible. But Joey kind of mentioned there about painting it. Do be careful when painting your material, because sometimes it can weigh down things like PVC pipes, and there's nothing worse than when you're at a con and the weight of something just snaps a piece of the costume. Especially at a con, because you can't always stop and fix it, especially if you're wearing a bigger costume. So yeah, any advice you would have for me if I came to you and said, well, I've done the man bat costume and that went great. Now I was thinking of something more of a armor build. How would you advise me in that front? Let's say, I'm not saying you don't have experience in making armor builds, but let's say you don't have experience in that area. What would you then best advise me to do?
Well, to start, the first thing I would tell you to do is buy the materials. And for the materials, to start off, it's easier to use foam for Ava foam than go out and buy like a masonite type for armor. Because I like to use, like I said, I like to use real stuff. So nothing against anyone. I love the armor if you use foam because it's easier to bend. But I'll use foam underneath a mason. I'll take masonite and I'll bend it. But to start out, you'd want to go out and get a heat gun or a blow dryer. And you can buy heat guns for $20, same price as a blow dryer. So might as well get a heat gun, right? Heat gun. Go buy like $10 of Ava foam and practice molding before you even start your armor. Practice it. Watch videos on YouTube. Do whatever you can to find out the basics of bending because bending is the hardest part. Other than that, the mold's easy.
Awesome. So let's move along to the acting side now. Now, let's say you know me as being quite quiet and to myself. Yeah, because that happens. And I say to you, hey Joey, I'm thinking about doing the Joker. You know, and we know the Joker is a very loud, you know, he has to be the center of attention, especially when you're cosplaying as him. How would you advise me to essentially get into character? What advice would you give there?
Well, watch Joker videos to start, but I would say let it go. Let it go, because people like to wear masks like Deadpool and Spider-Man because they don't want to show their face. They want to use their humor. So think about using everything you ever wanted to be. Outlandish. Watch some Joker stuff, like Mark Hamill's Joker is hilarious. Or even if you watch the old Romero Joker from the original Batman series, he's hilarious. Put those two together and just have fun with it. Be the announcer from wrestling. Like, oh, that guy stands there. He has no facial expressions till he starts talking. I was like, oh, but go out, have some fun. The way I did my Joker, I just thought about Mark Hamill's Joker, like, yes, you know, go into it, practice a laugh, because every Joker has a different laugh, and like, I would say Mark Hamill's Joker's laugh's hilarious, but I also love the Joker from Dark Knight. Like Heath Ledger's Joker is. Can I go through something real quick with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because I have to defend the Jokers. Joker's here. Romero's Joker was cartoon comical hippie Joker. He was happy. And then you had Jack Nicklaus's Joker. His Joker was pop. I want to live to make money and be the icon. I don't care about dying, but I'm going to be that icon. Mm-hmm. You have Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's Joker was the Dark Knight Joker. He's like, take the Crow and mix him with Joker, and that's what you got. You got the dark, sinister. He didn't know who he was until the end when he looks at Batman and says, hey, we need each other. You're my yin, I'm your yang, because basically they don't exist without each other. He needed that collaboration. He looks at everyone and tells them a different story, how he got the scars, because he don't fucking know himself. Excuse my language. Oh, guys.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
And you have Hamill's Joker, which is psychopath. He's insane. He has nothing to live for except for the derange and take down Batman. He always tries to take. He don't care about anything else but to take down Batman. He wants a scheme. Like I watched a part once. It had the Croc, had all of them on the table, and they're all talking sinister stuff. It gets to Joker, and he has all this great sinister stuff. And it gets to the Croc, and Croc's like, saw him come and shot a rock at him. I laughed so hard because you had this. The last part.
I remember that episode. I love that episode. It's so funny because they're always saying each and every one around the table is like almost got him, and then you've got Catwoman almost got him, and I'm like, ah.
I know, it's great, right? Like it was a great episode. I remember it forever. And then you have everyone hates Leto's Joker, but you know what? You can't have Harley without it.
It's a different interpretation. I look at it, you know.
So she calls him out on it. She looks at Will Smith and says, so you just kill for blah, 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 and he goes, yeah, I don't love anyone. I just go, she's like, that's a true explanation of a sociopath. Someone that just has no feeling, but he was lying, of course, for his daughter. Mm-hmm. But with Harley's sitting there saying that, and you watch all the replays, that Joker exists now because he's in love with Harley, even though he hates her. And same thing. And if you watch the cartoons of Hamill, later on they get to that, where Joker will beat the crap out of him, excuse my language, he'll rape her, he'll do whatever he wants, makes her bad stuff to her. But there's something inside that won't let him kill her, that wants to be with her.
There's an interesting side on that, and we can get into that after we're done here, but Harley has done things, both in the comic books and in, social media aspects, that you wouldn't expect of her. Like, even though we all say she's madly in love with the Joker and she'll do anything for him, yes, she will.
It's like a drug.
She's also done things to, like, things for her benefit that she's lied to the Joker about. So she's not above. While we're all kind of like always saying, "Oh, the Joker is really bad for Harley because he does this, this, and this," she's done things to him as well.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%.
Are almost equally as bad, but not as bad.
I like when she hits him in the head with the hammer every time. Every time she hits him with the hammer, I just start laughing so hard, like because I'm like a married couple with a frying pan.
Exactly. So let's see. We'll look at a different type of character. I've gender bent Poison Ivy before. And believe me, doing that in the middle of November in the UK is the worst idea ever. So anyone who wants to do something like that in November, think about it first. Because guaranteed you will be cold.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I personally have been told character-wise, I'm very much like Harley Quinn. So it was very easy for me to cosplay Harley Quinn. But Poison Ivy is a very different aspect. You know, she's very
seductive.
Yes, she's very, very seductive, and she's very, very forward in that regard. And I'm not like that. And I found it very, very difficult to portray that, but also maintain some form of masculinity. How would you recommend somebody conquer something like that? And I can see you laughing, thinking, "Oh crap, how would I do that?"
That's what they say. So.
how would you get around something like that?
Adam's Family.
Adam's Family.
Watch Gomez and Morticia. Morticia is Ivy's seductive side. Gomez is Ivy's outgoing side.
Okay, so you need to bring a balance of the two of them together. Okay.
Yeah, it's like because you have Gomez always like, "Oh man, I mean," up her arm, and you have, "Oh, Gomez," you know.
The funny thing is, when I watch like the older Addams Families, like the classical TV series, while she seems extremely into it, it also seems like when she goes, Gomez, it's like, I can't be bothered. Go away.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I said. I was like,
but I don't get that from the Angelica Houston portrayal of her in the kind of more modern movies that had a young Christina Ricci.
The movie's Morticia was more of a... She was less innocent. No, she was more innocent than the TV show was, I believe. I think it's because it's supposed to be like PG-13 compared to... They didn't care in the 50s, even though they did care. They didn't realize when they made the movie... Like, when they made, not saying the 50s, but, you know, the show was like supposed to be older. They didn't realize, you know, how she was acting. I think that's how it went. Where in the movie, it's more like PG-13, like...
So moving on, there are many different types of cosplays that we can go to throughout the year. There's your big once-a-year ones, your smaller, more local ones that happen, say, every 4 or 5 weeks or weekends if you live in Florida, because I know that you guys have a lot of cosplays.
We have a convention every month, 3 times a month for different ones.
There you go. And you'll sometimes get a middle-of-the-road cosplay convention that is not exactly large, but it's not exactly small potatoes either. It's kind of middle of the road. Which out of those 3 types of cosplay conventions do you prefer going to the most? Do you like the big once-a-years, the medium, or the smalls, or do you like a blend of all 3?
The big once-a-years, like Holiday Matsuri or Dragon Con or anything like that, that's a celebration. You go to those, you plan 4 days out, you plan the whole weekend, you're celebrating camping out, that's your vacation for the year. Might go well, might not. Honestly, like BlizzCon. BlizzCon, you know what's there. You know what you're going for. You're going there to play video games, meet video game people, and learn about video games. Dragon Con, you're going for the cosplay. Plain and simple. Dragon Con's a cosplay convention. But if you go to places like MegaCon and stuff like that, you don't know what you're going to get. Where Holiday Matsuri, it don't matter what costume it is, it's Christmas. You're going to go for Christmas. That's what it is. That's your celebration. But those small ones in between, the really tiny ones, like I have a partner over in Miami. She runs a little Japanese convention, and it's cute, but she does it like every 4 months, and it's awesome, but I would only go to that if I'm over in Miami at the time. I've never traveled to go to it, and when they have them here at Tampa, like Tampa Comic-Con, I'm not a fan of it. I support them, but I'm definitely not a fan of it. I don't like... Now, there was a smaller one that MegaCon bought out. They were called Fanboy Expo. When they came to Tampa, they're from Knoxville. When they came to Tampa, it was a small convention, close to medium. It was once a year, but the whole room you walked in was all the vendors there, and on the whole outskirts of the room was all the actors. So you were all in one room with them. And an after party, because you met them there, all those actors came to hang out. They didn't care about money. They come there to meet and hang out. It was awesome. It was in a Hilton, too. Plus, you had levels. It was really cool.
So, speaking about actors there, because I know I've had a few interactions with a couple of actors and performers, like sports personalities in particular. Have you had yourself any interesting interactions with them that you care to share? Like, I think I'll get it started.
Are you a Supernatural fan?
Yes, but I'll get it started, right? I was queuing for a cosplay competition, or a cosplay masquerade as it's called over in the UK, and my cousin was with me that year. Now, I'm dressed up as my classic Harley Quinn, or my version of a classic Harley Quinn, and I've got all my stuff with me, and I'm watching for my cousin. You know, I've got my bags and everything else, and I'm like watching for him. I'm like constantly going like this every 5 minutes, looking to see if he was there. And as soon as I see him, I start to head towards the door to give him all my stuff. And then a lot of other people were coming through, so I kind of like step to one side to let them pass. And as they're walking through, the WWE legend Hacksaw Jim Duggan came through the door.
Cool.
Right? And I swear he took one look at me and gave me what I dubbed the grandpa wink. And it was just like he smiled and winked at me, and I'm like, you know, like, oh my god. So I come running out to my cousin. Now my cousin, him and his brother have been followed the WWE for a very long time. And I just run up to him and I'm like a little kid at Christmas going, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you know who that was? And he's like, yeah, that's Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Did he say anything to you? And I was like, no, but he gave me the grandpa wink like grandpa does. And he's like, get out. And then he says to me, what's a grandpa wink? And I'm like, you know what the grandpa wink is. That crazy old man winking his eye and you can't tell whether it's a nervous twitch or he's actually winking at you. And he's like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you son of a bee. And I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Same Comic-Con. I'm walking up a set of stairs and a voice comes over, like, the announcing thing for the next person who's doing an audience with, because when our celebrities are here, they do audiences with. And it's an opportunity for people to ask questions. I'm assuming they do the same over in the States as well. A voice comes over and he says, now welcoming to the stage, Robert, and this massive, like, scream just erupts. And I'm telling you, if I'd been cosplaying as Catwoman, I would have clung to the arena ceiling. I jumped so high because I wasn't expecting it. And then the voice just manages to get out England. And I'm like, Robert England.
Yeah, Freddy
Krueger. And I'm like, well, there you go. So I never actually got to see him, but I heard him going on stage.
Robert England's some character. He's here all the time at Spooky.
He's he must be a really nice person. I've never, like I said, got to meet him personally, but I've heard he's got quite a sense of humor.
Well, they didn't want him as Freddy. He made Freddy.
Okay, so you were mentioning about how Supernatural.
Do you remember Dean's wife or girlfriend with the kid?
In the show or on?
In the show.
Vaguely.
Well, she was dark hair, like Italian woman. She was at Fanboy Expo. I hung out with her and a whole bunch of others, and it was cool because I met the little daughter from The Walking Dead. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was there. All the wrestlers, Tugboat, all of them were there. Jem was there, the voice of Wolverine from the TV. They were all there, and they're all hanging out. And I just got done talking. I was waiting for Cindy to come back. I wanted her to come back and want photos. And I was there with, at the time, my partner and ex-girlfriend, who was working with me taking photos. And I'm sitting there talking to Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite. And we were laughing. And I said to Pedro, I hated that movie. Nothing against you. I said, I hated it. I said, but you were funny. He goes, dude, I hated that movie too. It made me money. Right? I turned around and I guess she starts laughing because she's standing behind me and Cindy Sampson. So I walk over, she's like, yeah, let's do a photo now, blah, blah, blah. It was nice talking to you. We were talking for a while. And I had my gloves on. My gloves were like 2 sizes too small. I couldn't feel anything hardly except for when I grabbed my gun. And she said, put her arm around me, and I put my arm around her, and I thought I had my hand on her shoulder because she was so tiny. Well, my hand was somewhere else. And my ex looked at me and said, Joey, Joey, Joey. And when I realized, I was like begging, like, I'm so sorry. So she laughed her ass off. She laughed the whole time and swatted my little butt and pushed me away after the photo. But that was the most embarrassing thing with any of the actors I ever had, because she was so tiny. I didn't know my arm was the whole way around.
Well, I'll give you something as well. So the second year I did one of the bigger cons in Glasgow. This is the same year I did a gender bent Poison Ivy. Okay. I got to meet one of the girls who did the Dawnish Girls on Game of Thrones. She was also in a TV show called The Almighty Johnsons, and that's where I essentially knew her from. I'd seen her on Game of Thrones, but I knew her before Game of Thrones because of that show.
I've watched it, yes.
So I ran up to go and get an autograph from her, and the outfit I was wearing, I had like fake ivy wrapped around my arms that day, but they constantly kept like slipping down because I didn't like stick them to my arm.
Yeah.
So I had to constantly keep readjusting them. And the way I had to do that was like readjust, stretch out, and it would be fine. So after I get an autograph from her and I ask her about the previous show that I'd seen her on and what was it like and blah, 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 because I think one person who was on that show played the blonde-looking dwarf on The Hobbit.
Okay.
And I was asking her, did you guys know ahead of time what was going to happen on the show? Did you know that you were going to end up as a goddess? And she's like, no, I didn't really know until the week beforehand, and I wasn't allowed to tell any of the other members of the cast. So, like, I then moved to the side and say thank you very much and all the rest, and I start adjusting myself. And I think either her boyfriend or her husband or brother or whatever, I'm assuming boyfriend, was there, and he kind of said, right, I'm going to go and do whatever kind of thing to her. I didn't realise he almost kind of like walked behind me, and I stretched out my arm like this, and I almost hit him straight in the face. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And all she can do is sit there and laugh. And I'm like, that's kind of rude. Your boyfriend almost gets hit in the face.
You're embarrassed and she thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah. Other really funny thing was with Sean Astin at the same con. I took the opportunity to go and speak to him, and I got stopped by a security guard at the end of the day, kind of thing. And he's like, it's the end of the day, you'll need to come back tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just here for one day, and all I want to do is go and hand him this business card. And just say to him, look, we have a little show on there that I know the guys that record the show would appreciate it if you would possibly give it a listen and see what you think. And it kind of causes a bit of commotion because I'm saying to the guy, look, I am just tired, I want to go home, I want to get out of this outfit, I'm freezing cold and had been for 7 hours plus, so I just want to give you this, or give him this, or give it to you and you can give it to him and leave. I don't want an autograph from the guy. And he hears this commotion, so I go over to him, and I'm like this, going past the security guard, like, screw you. And I go up to him, and he looks at me, like, he's kind of signing autographs for the following day, and I'm like, look, Sean, I know you're tired, I know you probably want to go get something to eat, I know you want to speak to your family via some form of social media, like Instagram, FaceTime or whatever, you know. All I want to do is give you this business card, tell you a little bit about the website and leave. I don't want no autograph. And he's like signing away, and then he looks up at me and says to me, so what's your story then? Not dawning on my head, I'm still in cosplay at this point. And I look down at myself and go, well, I'm what happens when Poison Ivy has a one-night stand.
He probably liked that joke.
He did. He laughed at that. And I was like, I'm glad I made you laugh, sir, but here's the business card. I told him about the website. And as he's doing that, he pulls over a picture of himself dressed as Samwise and signs it. And he says, here you go. And I'm like, oh, right, sorry. I call somebody over with money, and I'm like fumbling around trying to pay him. And he's like, no, just take it. And I was like, Jammy me, a free signature.
Awesome.
But I love interactions like that, where celebrities also get a chuckle out of what you're wearing and what you're doing.
They deserve it as much as we do.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so when you've been going to these particular events, what is the one thing that you're most excited for? And the one thing that you either still can do on some level or you used to find the most nerve-wracking? So what's the one thing that you're most excited for first?
The interaction. I like, with gaming, I talk a lot of crap.
Mm-hmm.
Girls, in general, men too, but I flirt like crazy because I'm a stage person. So it's like not flirting like sexual flirting, it's flirting like, ha, I'm right here, guys, come get some, you know? It's to everybody. So it's like, I enjoy the interaction. I have a big ego, but I have an ego for a purpose. Someone told me the other day that my ego was bad. I'm like, no, it's because if I didn't have an ego, I'd be held back. When I started school, I was loud. When I got to junior high, they told me to be quiet, so I'd be quiet. Then I get to high school and they tell me I'm silent again. And I was like, you guys tell me to be quiet, you tell me to be loud, I'm going to be me. And that's when I started singing more. I was in choir by myself, the only male for 2 years. So I had a lot of interaction with the ladies. I became a ladies guy, which I'm not no more because I'm settled down. But when I go to cons, it wasn't about meeting girls. It was about girls would see and run up and be like, I felt like somebody. Mm-hmm. You know. Now I'm like, oh, I am somebody. You know. But back then it was like, oh, this is awesome. But I was mainly there for the music, and then the interaction changed the whole persona. So I became a cosplayer, which is awesome. And I like meeting other people. Like I met, what was his name, Leon. He's a cosplayer across the. Yeah, I met him, and that dude is like the sexy dude of the convention.
I know.
And I'm not into dude sexy. I would love to look like the way he's built. Never gonna happen, but like. So it's like meeting people like that. I find out what he's doing, how he's doing his cosplay, and I'm just like, this is awesome. Allison Tabitha, she's a local here. Mm-hmm. She's amazing, really sweetheart, and she showed me stuff that she does. It's all like I love learning from people and interaction. I like when there's a challenge. Like I have friends. Can I do a shout out? Mm-hmm. This girl is like my sister. I cannot stand her, but we love each other's family. Her name's Gothic Sushi, Maria Saber. I don't agree with her on anything. I despise her. But she's like sister, so mm-hmm. We're still friends. But, but she does very good cosplay. But she's doing her own thing that I don't like. And same here. I do cosplay, and every time she sees me, what are you doing here? It's like, I didn't.
It's a healthy rivalry.
It is, exactly. But we it's like family. It's like a sister I can't stand.
Mm-hmm. So what would be one of the things that you find most nerve-wracking about going to a cosplay event?
People trying to outdo other people. It shouldn't be about that at all.
Okay. And I totally agree with that. Like, cosplay is something to be fun. Like,
the only person you should try to outdo is yourself in the last cosplay.
Exactly. Like, I literally, when I did Ivy, I was the only male Ivy there. And I'm like, who cares? And the first year I did Harley, there was like 4 other guys doing different versions of Harley there, and I'm like, I still don't care. Mine's is the most classical looking.
Joker is like that. My Joker, like I said, I walked in, I didn't make anything for the Joker. Nothing. It's all store-bought. But My Joker's like Material Girl. You know, Madonna in the movie, and when she's running around fucking grabbing everything and making stuff. That's what it was. I walked in, I'm like, here's the socks, you know, grabbing a jacket, you know, I'd grab whatever, and people were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm the Joker, you know, and just run around. When I put the stuff on, then it's like, what did I become? This is nothing like I've seen. There's no one with this costume. This is not what I expected going in to do it. This is just who I am becoming the Joker. Awesome. And that's what happened with it. Like, it was awesome. It was fun.
So, when you've been at these conventions, because we kind of mentioned about the cosplay competition or cosplay masquerade, have you ever taken part in these particular events? And if so, did you win anything? And an additional question to that, have you ever been asked to judge a competition?
Yeah, I've done more judging than...
Let's start with the taking part. Have you taken part in many of these particular competitions as a competitor, not as a judge?
No. I've walked through one competition. It was my first convention with my crappy Jimmy Hudson short blonde-haired spikes I bleached the night before with my sideburns. Don't ever bleach your face. Ever. That hurt. But I had bleached sideburns, bleached eyebrows. Everything was bleached. And I get in there and I'm like, oh, I'm awesome. I walk in, I'm like, there's this little kid that was dressed up as Spider-Man. He has his mask off and he looks so awesome. I'm like, I'm not going to win this. Let's go. We get up on stage and everyone loved the claws. They didn't care about anything on the costume, but they saw these claws that were hand carved and they were, you know, they loved it. And I got off stage. I'm like, that was fun for the 5 seconds I was up there. That was the only time I ever entered a competition. And ever since then, it was more about, I'd get invited as a judge. I'd get invited to host the stuff. We did the Guinness Book of World Records at Tampa Comic Con I went to, and it was gigantic photos. Like, there was cosplay, you name it, it was there, and we got in the record book, and it was awesome. When we went to Fanboy the second year, I did the Joker Gotham City Imposters, and I swore I was going to find people to do it. No one did it but one person with me. Well, two people, actually. Two people, they came together and they worked with me. No one else showed up. So what I did, I asked the owner, he said, go ahead. So I ran around all the convention. I tapped people on the shoulder and say, I need you now. And we'd run outside and we had a big photo shoot of all DC characters. But that's what happened. Like, the competitions I never entered, I just judged. And they asked me later on, I'd get more judging ads. That's about it.
Awesome.
I'd love to be in a competition, but now I can't.
When you're judging a competition, I know that most people tend to say when they've been judging that they're happy that there's two other people there alongside them. Are you of a similar mindset when it comes to judging? Does that, in a sense, take the pressure off, knowing that there's two other people there?
I think it does a little bit for me because there's people to take up to fill the gap. But as you tell, I'm a talker. I look directly. I'm a crap talker. My name's Trash. You know. I talk when I see someone judging, like when I'm judging and I see a cosplay, like I'll look at a guy and he might look cool in his costume. He might not be doing any acting whatsoever. And I'll see he's just wearing a costume because his friends were. And I'll see if it wasn't made, and this is different judging. I'll see a little kid who, you know, did not make his costume. His parents probably did, but the kid is all over I'm Spider-Man. There's no one better than me. You know, that's a different. Then you see someone walk in who you know made their costume amazingly, and their persona is that character down to the T, and you might become speechless. Then you have the people to fill in next to you. They'll say, hey, blah, 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 and you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say.
Okie dokie. So, sorry, I'm just trying to think here. In your opinion, what are the 3 best things that somebody can do when they're getting ready to go to a cosplay event, and 3 of the worst things that they can do, in your opinion? So let's start with 3 of the best things that they can do when they're getting ready to go to an event.
The best things is, I would say, be happy. Don't walk. Number 1, don't ever walk into a convention upset. Don't be fighting with someone. Don't do anything that's going to make you mad because you're going there to have a good time. That's number 1. Number 2, I would say have preparations for the weekend. If you're going for a week, if you're only going for one day, then go have money to spend because you're going to want to spend money. Bring all the equipment you need and bring whatever you want to eat. And then number 3, be connected to people. Have someone with you or have a number to call just in case something stupid would happen because it's a convention.
Okie dokie. And 3 of the worst things that they can do.
Number 1 again, don't be angry. A convention could be ruined in 5 minutes because you were the worst person at that convention. You walked in mad and your cosplay might be messed up. So what? Everyone's cosplay is messed up sometime. You might be fighting with a significant other. You guys are going there to have a good time. Do that. Your friends might ditch you. You're still going to the conventions. You see them there, make some new friends. Have fun. The second one, I don't know. Don't do things you're going to regret, I guess. Be prepared not to go in and avoid confrontation with people you don't like. Be the nicest you can for yourself. I have nothing for I don't know for the negative
I'd
stuff.
say probably the worst thing, one of the worst things that you can do is not be prepared.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of cosplayers have said, you know, one of the things that you should do that is a benefit if you're cosplaying at the event, make sure to have your checklist and go through your checklist the night before to make sure you've got everything that you need. If you're just going as your normal self and you're taking pictures, this is specifically for people who do that. Don't take pictures of cosplayers when they're having a moment, when they're not performing. You know, especially if, like, say you are cosplaying as the Joker, and you're at lunch or dinner or whatever, and you've got this big massive cheeseburger. Nobody wants to see that on social media. They don't want to see themselves, you know, chomping down on a cheeseburger while they're cosplaying as the Joker.
I totally
always
would
ask. Pardon?
I would throw the burger at somebody if they did
Exactly.
it.
Like, always go up to the cosplayer and ask their permission, guys, if you're doing that. Because cosplayers can get very upset when that kind of thing happens. You know, we won't say no. You know, in the worst case scenario, that is the worst thing that we can say. The worst thing that we can say is no. But 9 times out of 10, we will not say no. You know, that we might say, okay, just give me 5 minutes to finish eating, or a second or two to I just reapply some form of makeup or something, or to get my helmet on or whatever. You know, we won't necessarily say no unless we're really pushed for time or something like that. So yeah, that can happen. Let's talk about age differences at Comic-Con itself. I mean, when I first started cosplaying, I didn't really have much reference to go on. A lot of what I was getting was coming from the States. And anything I typed in to do with cosplay, I noticed there was a kind of slight pattern in terms of ages. And while I did see families, like mum, dad, children, in costumes, it really did seem like they weren't going to a cosplay event. It was like, okay, mum and dad and children are in costumes, we're getting a picture taken on our banister, and then off we go to, like, a costume party. You know, that's what it kind of felt like when I looked at it. And then I started digging deeper into cosplay, and it seemed to be early to mid-teens to mid-30s seemed to be the predominant age bracket. And I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, because I fit that age bracket. So I could literally walk up.
Between the teens, they're not bandwagon jumpers, but they're jumping in, so they're learning cosplay from each other. So until they finally figure out, oh, I'm going to make the cosplay. I really always wanted to be this character. They end up doing stuff together and learning, so...
Well, I was happy because I was like, I fit that age bracket, so I could walk up to somebody and say, comic books? And they could say comic books back to me, and I can be like, comic books, and not have a blank stare when you say comic books to somebody and they're like, huh? But when I went to Comic-Con, I noticed there was such a wide variety of different age groups. There was the age group that I mentioned that I predominantly expected to see. Yes, they were the predominant age group there, but still. We had people who were above and below the actual age group that I
And
thought
you
of.
did different costumes too.
Yeah, there was babies who could only have been about a couple of months old. And then, I hate saying it like this, but it's the best way I can put it. There was grannies and granddads that were 1 foot in the grave, you know, who were also there. And I thought, this is such a diverse range of ages, and it is fantastic. Did you have a similar kind of thought process when you first started? Did you think, oh, it's going to be this specific age group, or did you go in with a complete open mind?
I went in with an open mind, but I thought it was going to be 20 to 30s. Like, nerds, like, wearing hooded shrouds and their D12s in their pocket, you know. That's what I thought. And when I got there, I realized... But I also thought it was going to be more cosplay rather than, like, people more into rather than just costuming. When we went to Tampa Comic Con for the first time, it was more costumes than cosplayers. You know, it was more people, I'm going to dress up for this day, and it's the only time I'm ever going to do it, and this is last. There was more of that there. The next time we went to a convention, I was like, all right, so I improved my cosplay a little more, and I walked in. That's when I was like, wow. Like, it was totally different. The very second convention was like, if you want to say professional cosplayer, you could say it. I don't say professional cosplayer. I don't think there is one. I think everyone has their own profession. They use cosplay as an outlet. But the closest thing to it, that was everywhere. So everyone I looked at in the second convention was just so knee deep into cosplay. It was insane. Like, so it went from nothing to intense, and I was just like, where do I stand here?
Speaking about age groups, so is there any particular cosplay that you do that is geared towards not so much an age group that would know it, but a younger age group? Like, a few people I know have cosplayed specifically as Disney characters because they know a younger audience would understand and get who they are. So they gear that particular cosplay to a younger age group. Do you specifically do that, or do you just go, well, I like the character, therefore I'm going to do that character?
I do who I want. The closest one that connects with any kids is Joker. Joker, everyone knows Joker. When I do Jimmy Hudson, everyone thinks I'm Wolverine. And I'm like, I'm not Wolverine, I'm Jimmy Hudson. They're like, who's Jimmy Hudson? Go read some of the comics, especially the new comic, X-Men Blue, that brought Jimmy back. He's the leader with Jean Grey. It's awesome. I was like, when I heard that, I freaked out. I'm like, he's not just a written off character. And then Dick Grayson, I was the first person in the world, other than the stupid 14-year-old. I love him. He was awesome. But we did Dick Grayson 2 weeks before the comic was released, and he must have got exclusive, like the preview I did, and it popped up on Google, and they had pictures of us. And the kid was good. I'm not gonna say mine was better, which I don't normally say, but it was definitely better because I put not because I put more effort into it, but it was down detail. But he was so good at the character, and I was like, I'm walking through, I'm like, this kid did what? Like, because it was 2 weeks prior to it was even released. I'm like, damn. Like, but it was good. It was good. So 2 weeks before the comic was released, Dick Grayson popped up at the same convention with two different people.
Awesome. So, in connection with keeping with a younger age group, do you agree with some focus parenty group things that say, oh, you should never dress your child up and march them around a convention centre when they really don't want to, blah, 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 blah?
No, because it's just like any other sport, extra hobby, religion, politics, whatever you want to add into it. If a parent says do this, the kid doesn't want to, then they do it once and they realize the kid didn't enjoy it, then don't do it again. But if the kid enjoyed it, there's a difference. Like taking a Chuck E. Cheese. I hated Chuck E. Cheese. When I was growing up, I liked video games. You put me in an arcade, awesome, but if I saw a stuffed mouse walking around trying to get me pizza, I'm like, leave me alone.
And another thing, just to add on to that, I've had the benefit of working with children of a lot of different age groups, and I can guarantee you, whenever I pulled out the costume box, that thing was empty within 2 seconds of me taking off the lid.
It's the same reason you want to.
You
Every
know,
kid wants to be something they're not.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
a lot of children will tell you outright if they want to do something or if they don't want to do something. You know,
Oh, yeah.
so just ask your child. Children
Yeah.
are opinionated.
Oh, they are, because they haven't learned to be shy yet.
Exactly. Flipping that on its head, we'll look at the other end of the age group, the almost 1 foot in the grave. I get a great kick out of seeing people who are almost grannies, granddads, or who are possibly are grannies and granddads doing cosplay. I think my favourite article that I've ever read is about an old woman who was close to her either 100th or 99th birthday, and they asked her what she wanted to do, and she said, I wanted to go to Comic-Con.
That's awesome.
And she went, and not only did she go, but she went in costume as her favourite superhero, which was Wonder Woman. And she didn't go in for the dyeing her hair black or wearing a wig. She was like, no, I'm 90 years old. I'm not going to get away with that kind of crap. I'm just going to have my grey long hair, my Wonder Woman outfit, and I'm going to walk around this con with my Zimmer frame. And I'm like, that is so awesome, you know. And she literally had said Wonder Woman was her favourite superhero, and I was like, what a great comment to DC, because here is a character that is only 75 years old, but this woman has followed her entire life.
Yeah.
You know, for the entire time that Wonder Woman has been a thing, this woman has followed her, and she admires and looks up to her. There's no better compliment for a character in the entire world than that, in my opinion. And I thought, that is fantastic. But it also got to me saying, I could be 90 years old, like, if I live that long, and still cosplaying, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome.
What kind of reaction do you get when you see older, like, people in society cosplaying like that? Do you think, oh my god, that is so great, or are you like, oh my god, I hope they don't break a hip? You know?
No, I get the full smirk on my face, like, yeah, I'll be like that someday. That's how, like, the whole Grease, John Travolta turns his head and just smiles and knows what's going on, you know?
Is there any particular... obviously, there's cosplays that we can do at certain points in our life that make it easier. But is there any particular character that you maybe have pigeon posted for when you get to a certain age?
Nightmare. I don't wear masks, but Nightmare from Soul Calibur, I'm gonna wait until I get a little more wrinkly, and I'm like, I want to wear a mask now. I want to go out there and be like, you know, like, use the weight for a reason. Different
to what I was kind of expecting. But is there any particular character that looks a hell of a lot older that you would pigeon post for when you reach a certain age?
Probably going to be Hugh Jackman, his Wolverine, because every time I walk in, I get the jawline, I get the eyes, and like every time I deal with it, they're like, "Oh, you're Wolverine." I'm like, "No," and all that stuff. But I know, or I could even do like From Dusk Till Dawn, like George Clooney's character with the tats up his arm. I could do that. You know, those are like prestigious characters I would probably do when I get older, because I have a jawline. I'm probably gonna be prestigious. I'm hoping.
And while we're saying that, guys, don't take that as a sense of, oh, I have to wait till I'm a certain age to do a particular cosplay. No. There is so many different things that a lot of people can do with makeup. And if you're good at doing makeup, or if you know somebody who's good at doing makeup, more power to you.
Like, I think it's the perfect time right now to do Hook. I've been just putting it off. Like, my age right now and the way I'm built, and Hook would be perfect right now. And I genuinely enjoy his character, especially this season. Love his character.
Do you know the worst of it? Anytime anybody says Hook to me, I immediately think of the Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams movie.
What's that?
Like, when anybody says Hook to me, I immediately think of the Robin Williams movie.
No, that's awesome. It's awesome because Robin Williams is awesome, and what's his name?
Dustin Hoffman?
Dustin Hoffman was awesome as Hook, but when I look at his Hook, I tend to go a different way with it, because I picture from Stardust when he's dancing as the pirate. I love Neil Gaiman, so Stardust was he's awesome. That's Lightning Captain.
So, moving aside from the age differences within Comic-Con, let's talk about props.
Mm-hmm.
So, props fall into two categories for me. And then, it goes to a Comic-Con, it goes to a photo shoot. And then there's the three subcategories. Oh my god, this prop is so large, it's breaking my back, and I don't know how I'm going to get it out of my house, let alone to a Comic-Con. Medium size, it doesn't break my back, I can get it out of my house pretty easily, and I can get it to the location, but it will bother me if I have to carry it around for 7 hours plus. And lastly, oh my god, this prop is so small, it fits in my pocket, or on my person, or in my bag, and I'm good to go. Obviously, all props depend upon what type of costume you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're doing a photo shoot, which particular prop size are you more inclined to take with you? And it's a photo shoot, not at a Comic-Con.
It all depends, because say if I'm doing Star Wars, I know already I need props.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing Joker, the guns, the little bombs. I'll run and get him for a second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to disappear. I forgot to grab it earlier, but this is something that should be on this video. I have a friend who is part of my Joker outfit. When I first did Joker, this is a major prop for this character because no one has it, and I use them differently. But when I first did Joker Fanboy Expo, I had a table set up with a friend who was selling toys, and as I'm walking away from my booth, the 501st was right next to us. I'm talking to Star Wars guys. I'm walking away. I quietly go to someone, I'm like, what is that? This is what it was. And it was perfect. His name's Emilio. The guy at the booth gave him to me. He didn't care. He said, it's perfect. Every color on him matches the socks, hold on, let me grab the jacket. Everything. It was perfect. So, socks, a shirt, all of it. And Emilio actually has his own Facebook page. What happened was it changed my Joker's persona the whole way. This little Emilio becomes my engagement ring from all my Harleys. So I get down on me and I ask them to marry me with my Jack-in-the-Box, the bomb.
Now, my Harley is obviously not Harley, it's Harley and Joker's son.
Okay.
So would that, if I was cosplaying near you as Harley and Joker's son Hayden, would that become my little toy?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. No,
It'd probably be the thing that you give me to shut me up.
As you can see, the details on it has different clowns all around it too.
And does it even play music? I see the little...
It does if I put batteries in it, but I'm later I'm going to take it out, the music box, and I'm going to put a fan in it with fire coming out the top of it. When it opens up, it's going to be shooting plastic fire.
Alright, so
when it's like this, it's the Jack-in-the-Box bomb.
So, I've got something that I want to show you now.
Okay.
So, but before that, we'll talk about what kind of props you'll obviously take to a Comic-Con. So, props that you would take to a Comic-Con, we always want to make sure that they're sturdy and will not break easily.
Oh, yeah.
So, when you're going to a Comic-Con, do you tend to take the larger props with you, or do you take smaller ones for the sake of getting around?
It depends.
Obviously, again, depending on the costume.
It depends on what I'm doing too. That's mainly because if I'm traveling through a con, I'm not going to want to carry this around unless I'm doing that. I don't want to carry it now. If I'm a Jedi, gotta have the lightsaber run around. If I'm doing a Jedi, I'm at a booth. Time for the hooded shroud. If I'm walking around, it's time for the desert gear. I don't want to do that. The Joker, he has shorts, but with the long socks. If I'm walking around, safety pins everywhere. Because it's going to get the socks up to my shorts. If I'm sitting at a booth, I don't want to feel them safety pins rubbing against my knees the whole time. But the little props even be the worst feeling. The little safety pins I consider props because they look like punk rock. So when they're coming out, it's also part of the costume. Dick Grayson is the worst feeling cosplay in the world because my strap's going across is all leather. And they're strapped across my body, so it's like the crow. So when I'm moving, when I go to pose, it's gonna get it's messed up.
So when it comes to actually making props or getting props in, do you A, make them, B, buy them and then customize them, or C, buy them in ready-made? Or do you do a little bit of all of the above?
Well, most of all the above. Like the lightsaber, as you can see, this is Ultra Sabers.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought white and do multiple colors for the different things. If I do Jedi or Sith. The actual hilt, I'm customizing each one my own self, so I'll take metal blades to them and cut them down. As for, like, the Joker stuff was all bought. Dick Grayson, his batons, the baton is actually just PVC pipe cut into pieces, and in between I put reflective tape. So when people take pictures, they light up without paying for anything. It's easy to carry, no electronics, lightweight, and then when they take a picture, it's already lit up. Perfect.
Awesome.
And that also, when I move them around, they're doing a video with the flash. Oh, it's crazy looking.
So let's talk about your creation process when you're making a prop from scratch. Being an artist myself, I tend to do the crazy thing, which is why I should be locked up in Arkham Asylum. Especially if I'm working on a prop, I tend to start talking to the prop and say, "Why are you not working? If you work, I'll give you."
Go crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I'll if you work, I'll be your best friend. And then I start screaming at the prop, "Why are you not working?
Yeah,
if you don't start effing working, I'm gonna throw you out the effing window." I remember actually just ranting that while I was working on my prop in my art class, and my tutor just looked at me like this, like, "Do you need to take a moment?" And I'm like, "Yes! Somebody get me a coffee." Because coffee calms everyone down, guys. But do you have a similar process? Maybe not to that extreme, but do you have a similar process where you just kind of start?
Have you ever seen
when is this going to work together?
Mother?
Pardon?
Have you ever seen the show How I Met Your Mother?
Yes.
Okay, you know the big guy.
The one that's married to Alison Hannigan on the show.
Yeah. Everything he does, he sings to himself, and he makes songs out of everything. That is totally me. He's in here working on a problem, like, and the paint goes on the top, and now I'll just start rhyming and singing, and then when it pisses me off, I start talking. I'll do the whole Billy Madison, the whole Happy Gilmore thing, like, why don't you go to your home, ball? Like,
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because then I can then take reverence in the fact I'm not the only crazy person in the world.
I hate painting. I want to kill the paint can every time. I just want to throw it and explode it. I hate it.
So, when I was making a prop recently, because I redid my Suicide Squad Harley Quinn look, I kind of updated it, because the first time I did it, we didn't even have preliminary pictures of what Margot Robbie was going to look like. And then ever since seeing it, I was like, I really need to update my look. So I did.
Sexy for her when she was awesome, but it was just way too sexy.
Unfortunately, I don't have the same body type as Margot Robbie, so I couldn't get away with wearing hot pants. I really wanted to, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I've got tree trunks for legs, and she's got sexy little things, so not going to happen. But I was looking for props that I could use that would be con-friendly. And I had 2 plastic little toy guns that still had the authentication stuff on it, like the orange tip and the actual authentication signature saying this is a toy. But I wasn't too comfortable about using them because of what had happened, and I heard a lot of people were getting even toy guns just taken off them, and I thought, I'm not going to risk it. So, like yourself, I thought, right, what can I do that would be Harley Quinn-esque that she would have? Or, in this case, this kind of character. So, at the time I was playing Arkham Knight, and I was doing the Harley Quinn level, and I was like, she has the little Jack-in-the-Box bomb. I'll do that. And I looked online, and I found this really cool picture for one, and I was like, okay, it looks as if it's a styrofoam ball, cardboard box, felt around the styrofoam ball, and then just whatever else. Easy. Yeah, it drove me mad. But it ended up looking like this.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
And it is one of the props that is extremely practical. It's not, whatchamacallit, it's not, like, unfriendly. Like, the only parts of it that would be unfriendly is the hat pins that keep the button eye in, and it keep the head secure to the box itself. But I would be, like, keeping my hands near them so that nobody takes them out.
Yeah.
And this is actually very, very practical because I can carry things in this. Like, if I've got business cards for iGame, I can keep them in here. I can keep my phone in there. You know, it's very, very spacious on the inside if I just, like, take the band off of it. You'll see that it is just, like, a massive darkness, but there's a lot of room in there. And that proves also that this is just a cardboard box.
Yeah, but it's done. You painted it up and you got the other props on it. It's cool.
Everybody, the con that I was at with this, everybody was like, "Oh, I really love your Jack in the Box, and can I hold it? Can I touch it?" And I'm like, "Yes, but very, very carefully," because this prop drove me mad. But it's also one of the things that I now sit on my bookcase, and I'm very, very proud of it. And I'm always thinking, like, even though I've done Harley for 1 or 2 years now, I'm like, do I want to do Harley again just to have an excuse to use the box? You know? And that's the fun thing about props. You'll get props that you make that you end up really, really proud of, and you're like, I want to use that again, and again, and again.
Oh, yeah, yeah. None of my cosplays I'll never stop doing, except for, I think, Dick Grayson's put the rest. I might do them again, but I think he's put the rest. I think it's over. Comic's dead. No one really knows the character anymore, and also that don't fit anymore.
Well, I think I'm a Dick Grayson fan. I'm a Dick Grayson fan, and I always like it when people do that character, but their own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
I think.
If you want to put it Nightwing, that's what I want to do next.
I think there was somebody who did an Agent. Is it 87, 67? Whatever his agent name is from when he was Agent Grayson.
Yeah.
Somebody did a cosplay of that.
That's the
like,
one.
That is awesome.
The blue stripe, the spy Grayson. That's what I got.
I thought that was awesome. Like, I've seen other people doing that when the comic book had came out, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. So we've covered props, and now I'm going to ask you, obviously we kind of touched on this really, really quickly, but what has cosplay opened up for you away from being in costume? Obviously you mentioned that you now have a business in cosplay. Has there been anything else that it's opened up for you?
More doors with connections with actors, because leaving cosplay, I started working at the Improv, which was through a friend, but doing that, the comedians love the stuff. Like, Harlan Williams loves the claws. Every time he's in town, he grabs my claws and plays them on stage while he's doing comedian stuff. Carlos Mencia, I joke, he had a costume contest. I won. He wanted me to dress up like Joker, and he got sick, and it was phenomenal. Like, everyone fell in love with it. Rob Schneider, he loves cosplay. Absolutely loves cosplay. I battle rapped John Leguizamo, clown. Yeah, we battle rapped down to the.
Oh my god! I love John Leguizamo. He's so
I work
funny.
with all of John Witherspoon from Friday. Old man, don't go in there for 45 minutes. He loves costumes. He's hilarious. Yeah. But I think outdoors, music mainly, because people love the music.
Awesome.
Like I'll give you links later, like we talked about for the for the music. I do a lot of nerdcore
find them
stuff
down there, guys, in that description. Sorry.
I do a lot of nerdcore stuff, but I'm a little bit different from nerdcore with other people, so it helps out. Like I tend to tell stories and on my music. I don't do personal music anymore, unless I just do it for home. But I'm doing a crossover between Soul Eater and Borderlands right now. It's all Borderlands remixes and all stories from Soul Eater. So like,
Awesome.
it's really fun.
Awesome. So my next question for you is a little bit of an interesting one. Who are your next 3 cosplays going to be? And we'll break this down. So the person you're going to be at your next Comic-Con, so the person who is ready to go. Somebody that you're working on for an event after that. It doesn't need to be immediately after that. It can be like middle of the year kind of thing. And somebody who you're thinking about that we might see late 2018 or early 2019. So let's start with who you're going to be at your next Comic-Con event.
I will be my own version of the new Jimmy Hudson from X-Men Blue. I'll already do Jimmy Hudson, but this time no more bone claws. We're going metal. Well, fake metal, but resin. But I have an outfit that I found on the internet that was a cool idea for what it could have been, and I took their idea and redid it with my own idea. And then he comes out with a new costume anyways, which is nowhere near either of ours, so that's original no matter what. Mm-hmm. But it's very bright, and I'm having a professional printer do it for me. Someone that does most of them. Yeah, I don't actually know his name. It's on my Instagram. So but it looks really good. It's really bright. It's definitely different than I do a lot of realistic cosplay, except for the Joker's really bright. Most of them look like they came from the comic books, but they look like something you'd wear in real life. So what they try to do in X-Men movies, but kind of fail with the shiny of the leather. But like what they try to do, make it more realistic. That's why I tried to do my cosplay. So it's still fun, but that's the next one. You said one that I want to do. It's coming up next year.
Did you mention about somebody that you're currently working on at the moment? That would be middle of the year.
What I've started working on, I drew up all the diagrams. Like I draw everything in Photoshop and CAD first, and then I go back in and then I edit little things, details to Photoshop, and then I go out and start sketching, and then then it gets worse. And I work on stuff when it's like you said, yell at the things when it's not looking like what's on paper. I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, but
totally me.
I do my first crossplay, and it's cool because I just bought a motorcycle for the first time. And you might mix these up, but I started I put my first helmet on, my motorcycle helmet, and I was like, oh my god, I know what I've always wanted to do, and I don't do crossplay. I don't, but I'm doing one. So now it might switch over. I'm doing Akira. Not the animated Akira.
Okay.
I'm doing Project Justice Rival Schools Akira, the little girl, Dago's sister. I'm going to do her with the helmet on and all the black, so...
Not who I was expecting.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of somebody else that I've mentioned that I'd like to do a crossplay of. That also could be seen as a biker. And they're very, very loud. Who could I be on about? We'll leave that there. So, who's somebody that you are kind of just thinking about right now that could be seen late 2018, early 2019?
Well, probably after that, I've done most of Dick Grayson stuff. I'll never do a Robin. Nothing against Robin, but I don't wear tights. And not because I don't want to. I don't wear tights. There's reasons. And but Robin I won't do. But I was thinking about doing a Dick Grayson Batman, or the hooded Dick Grayson I was talking about. A Dick Grayson Batman might be work because taking a mask off and then seeing Grayson underneath instead of,
Yeah.
It might hit the spot for my character. But the main one, like I told you, I want to do some Soul Calibur characters. And so, did you play Soul Calibur 5?
No, but I know, like, I've been keeping tabs with those particular
I
games.
would love... What I've been planning on doing and keep putting it off is, I don't know his name, but it's the brother of the sister who becomes Nightmare, and he becomes...
Oh, I know who you're on about.
The little Shiv. I always forget their names. I wanted to do her for my first crossplay. I was like, no, I don't want to do a female Nightmare because I'm going to do a Nightmare later. So I was like, but the brother's really, really cool. And his cosplay, I could totally get a perm just for a fucking weekend. Excuse my language. Get a perm, do it blonde, and be like...
Okay, so before we do the Passover and such likes, we'll ask, what advice would you give to somebody who is new to cosplaying but doesn't necessarily know where to start?
Danquish, I did an interview with Danquish a couple years ago, and the one thing that wrapped up that he said was, she said, "Why did you want to cosplay?" When we're kids, we always watch cartoons, we always watch movies, and we're always like, that you connect to the character, you're like, that's me, that's who I am. Mine growing up was crazy characters. I love DuckTales. I love Uncle Scrooge. I'm Uncle Scrooge, but not him. You know, stuff like that. Or if you talk about more characters, Ninja Turtles. Everyone has a Ninja Turtle. Mine was nerdy. Mine was Donatello. Like, so you always want to be that person. Ghostbusters. You have a Ghostbuster. You know? So every character you ever thought about being, that's what makes people want to cosplay. I believe that's for everybody. No one could say otherwise, because if you want to pick a character yourself, or you just do what everyone else wants you to do. So when you grow up and you see that character, try to do one of those characters you pictured yourself when you were a kid. If you picture yourself as an astronaut, be an astronaut for one of your cosplays. If you wanted to be Britney Spears, everyone has done Britney Spears. All the girls growing up did the little dances.
Just don't do the shaving your head Britney Spears, because that can be quite problematic.
So, pick a character that you connect with to start with, and then after that, work your way into stuff that you might find. A lot of people nowadays, and I don't like bandwagon cosplayers. Nothing against them, they have skills, but a lot of them jump on it just like, you'll see one Wonder Woman, she becomes popular, you've never read a comic about her, you don't even know who she is, but you think you'll look sexy in the outfit. Why are you going to wear Wonder Woman? So you look sexy? Get a Wonder Woman dress and go to the ball.
Definitely. So before we disappear, guys, I just want to take the time to thank Joey Logan for taking the time out and spending it with us today. If for some strange reason you can't get enough of me, you can find me at this lovely little website called iGameOnline.net, where we do have our own Facebook page and YouTube channel. This interview itself, if you're not watching it on my YouTube channel, will be on the iGame page itself, so don't forget to, you cannot get enough of me, you can find me on the iGame website, where we have a Facebook page and a YouTube channel where there are multiple different shows happening. Also, don't forget to click on to the Jai452 and the staff and crew page, where you can catch up with me on my Facebook page as well as my Instagram, and see what weird and wacky things I'm getting up to. But right now, Joey's going to give us some amazing social media links where we can get a hold of him if we have any further questions. But on the subject of questions, if you do have a question for either myself or Joey, there's, I think, do you see it, Joey? There's like a comment section down there.
Yeah.
It's like just down there. So don't forget to leave us a comment, guys. Ask us any particular question that you want answered. And tickle the thumb button, because we like our thumbs being tickled. We like to know that you like this content. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys, where there is multiple other interviews with many different cosplayers, as well as some with some celebrities, and the odd occasional gaming video. So do go along and check that out. But Joey, where can we get a hold of you if we have any further questions?
Pretty much the name is on all sites, so it's Instagram /The Trashy Gamer. Same with YouTube, The Trashy Gamer, or on Facebook, The Trashy Gamer. I go by The Trashy Gamer for video games. T2Ash is my gaming handle. So Twitch, it's T2Ash or The Trashy Gamer Live. But I work for iNerdia, my company. We run everything. But if you're looking for me, just type in Joey Logan cosplay. You'll find me anywhere. It's easy. It's just Trashy Gamer.
So don't worry if you missed any of those particular areas, guys. They will be in the description of this video. Please do go along and check out Joey's amazing stuff. And give him a follow. Support him. If you are in the Florida area and you happen to be at the same con as him, go up and say hello to him. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to say hello to you guys.
If it's a Harley, they'll get married that day.
And again, guys, I'd just like to take the time out and thank Joey for taking the time and spending it with us and taking us through this crazy world of cosplay. I've been Jai452, Joey has been Joey, and this has been Inside Cosplay, and we'll be back with another interview. really soon. Bye,
Bye.
guys.